Good morning, everyone. It's good to be down here from Bellingen. We've more or less swapped one lot of smoke for another lot, I notice, although the rain has certainly helped with that a little bit. It's great to be here at Pitt Street, and particularly in a place that messes around with the lyrics of Christmas carols. Particularly last night I noticed that. Some kindred spirits here organising the worship, I think. I tend to get in trouble for that in Bellingen. People like to be able to sing what they know they're going to sing without having to look at the words. But it's good to see people messing around with that. UME is Uniting Mission and Education. But you can ignore that because that's one restructure out of date. I now actually work for Uniting as still in kind of environmental advocacy. So it's a very similar ministry. It just keeps moving from funding puddle to funding puddle, I guess. All of the gifts which I never got, well, I guess that I don't miss them much. And out of all of the gifts which I've ever had, the ones I missed most are the touch of a hand on my back and my feet on wet grass and my baby's wet kiss on my cheek. I can hardly believe, though I guess that they're right, it'll be Christmas time in a week, because there's all those signs in the store that want us to buy more, to show our signs in the store that want us to buy more, telling us they'll sell us love fast. And they're all 10% off, but that's because they're made of crap, because they don't really want them to last. All those signs in the store that want me to buy more to show my great love with some cash. Well, call me old-fashioned, but I'd rather show my wife that she's loved with a pash. And my kids with a hug and then a game on the rug, because in the blink of an eye they'll both go. So I'd rather be around now as much as I can than working to pay back what I owe. So how about this Christmas we all stay in the black, like the sun-weathered skin of that Nazareth chap, who went on about money and the dangers of wealth for those trying to nurture their spiritual health. Let's give gifts of love, they don't send us broke. Let's give big hugs, even us uptight blokes. To those who want one, offer a kiss. Let's celebrate love, not capitalist miss. How about all of you? What do you value? Who's someone in your life this year that you've really treasured, that's been a gift to you? Someone that you really value. It could be someone you know well. It could be someone who just had a comment for you that really helped you this year. It might be someone who wrote a book that was really meaningful to you. I'm going to give you a minute to think about someone that's been a real gift to you this year, and then I'm going to invite you to talk about them to the person next to you. So make sure it's someone you're happy to talk about. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes each, and I'll explain how that works. But for now, I'll just give you 20 seconds to think of someone who's been a real gift to you this year, someone that you really treasure. I wonder what other people thought of that relationship that you've just been talking about, or the other friendships and people that you have in your lives. I wonder if you've ever had a relationship which other people didn't get or didn't approve of, some relationship or friendship that caused inner turmoil because of your fear of external judgment. Maybe you were old enough to transgress the Protestant-Catholic divide back in the 50s or even the 70s, depending on where you live. Maybe your cultural backgrounds didn't match, or one of you had a white collar and one of you had a blue collar. Maybe it was the love which dare not speak its name. Well, if so, you're in great company at Christmas time and in the Gospels, as we'll see. We start with Mary, that young pregnant woman who returns from a 3-month trip to her cousin, suddenly pregnant. A stonable offence back then. There's Joseph, who in Matthew's Gospel knows that his first child isn't going to be his own and knows that everybody else is going to work out that it wasn't his either. When they arrive at the family home for the census, there's no room for them, and they have to sleep downstairs with the animals. Many a good Jewish family, having taken one look at Mary and done the maths, would have made them sleep downstairs with the animals as well. Or maybe it was just that they knew what an outspoken rabble-rouser Mary was with her hymns about tearing down the rich and lifting up the lowly and sending the rich away with nothing and filling the poor with good things. Best not get too close to a firebrand like that when you're living in Roman-occupied Israel in the middle of a census. But even if the family wasn't very accommodating or approving, the angels come along. They send shepherds with marvellous stories of angels in the field to come down and visit them. But of course they're shepherds, and nobody trusted a shepherd back then. Shepherds were unclean, they were unacceptable, they were banned from the temple. So when they come and start shouting about angels in the fields, they make Mary and Joseph and Jesus unclean and unacceptable as well. If you've ever befriended unacceptable people, or maybe if you're an unacceptable person who's dared to befriend other people, you're in great company at Christmas time. What was God up to using this unwed rebel mother and unclean shepherds to kick off this story? If we go with Matthew instead, of course, we get the three kings or the three wise men, except it's only the carol that talks about kings. Matthew's word is magi, the astrologers or the sorcerers. We don't know if they were men, we don't know if there were three of them, we don't know if they were particularly wise. What we do know is they brought gifts, which was good, gold, which was a great start to things, but also myrrh, which is the spice that you rub on dead bodies. Who brings a baby embalming fluid for its first birthday? More importantly, all Jews knew that astrologers were an abomination to the Lord. It was prohibited to pay attention to them or be in their company. So by letting them in, Mary and Joseph are breaking the law and at risk of being stoned to death again. Some of us might know what it's like to have our relationships declared illegal or immoral. And how many of us have been blessed by wisdom or by gifts from the wrong kind of people? How many of us are the wrong kind of people who have dared to share our wisdom with the world anyway? Poor Jesus, you've got to feel for him. After being raised by this rabble-rousing mother and his overly tolerant father, who invite the unclean and the abominable to his birth, it's no wonder that so many of his relationships were wrong when he grew up. He starts with the fishermen, who were pretty much guaranteed to be unclean because of all the unclean sea creatures they were likely to catch. He partied enough to be labelled a glutton and a drunkard and a friend of sinners, which is really just kind of judgy speak for everyone who doesn't make the grade. He ate with outcasts. He ate with the religious establishment. He ate with the Roman collaborators. Probably everybody judged Jesus for the company that he kept. He taught that those Roman collaborators and the prostitutes were going to get into the kingdom of heaven ahead of the religious leaders of his time. He taught an anonymous woman at the well and was even dared to be seen alone with her, even though she was a half-caste mongrel Samaritan. And we need to remember that his disciples, not much later in the story, are happy to burn a Samaritan village to the ground. That's how well they got along with each other. And he hung out with zealots like Simon. His dinner parties included the blind and the lame, which was basically anyone that people assumed God was judging for their sin or their parents. Even his mother ended up doubting him, and the family came along to take him away because they feared he'd gone out of his mind and he was embarrassing them. There's many more examples, but I think that's probably enough. Now, of course, it wasn't all bad. Jesus was reconciled with his mother. He ate and he drank and he told jokes, and his disciples became his friends. So Christmas is for you. If you're looking forward to a great day with family and friends, then Christmas is for you. If your family excels in being judgy, then Christmas is for you. If your partner has an unwanted surprise for you, Christmas is for you. If people judge you for the company you keep or judge you as being the wrong kind of company to keep, then Christmas is for you. If you're too lefty or too righty, or your friends are, Christmas is for you. If, like Jesus, you can see the good in a relationship that other people want to condemn, then I invite you to own it, to treasure it, cherish it, celebrate it, and share it with other people. I want to finish with a poem about a gift that I received about 20 years ago as my encouragement to you to share your gifts with the wider community as well. Pretty sure I remember this one. I met this woman on a sexual harassment committee, which led to a dilemma because I thought she was really pretty, but did I dare to tell her? And by me, she was quite smitten, but we'd literally just written about how inappropriate it might be to ask someone out on a date. Even scarier to me, she was a singer, you see, in a lesbian feminist band, so now you understand my hesitation. And she knew I was a Christian and a Christian minister at that, not yet legally divorced. But of course, sometimes you just have to grow up and take a chance. So I asked my friend to ask her friend to ask her to tell her friend to tell my friend to tell me if she would like to dance. She wouldn't. And now that you've seen me try, you probably understand why. But she did want to know me. So we got together, and a few months later I finally let her. And we started on a baby who we took to our wedding, which was to some extent our way of getting some old Christian fellas off our back. They were emphatic that our love, no matter how ecstatic, must be chaste. My minister was right when he said, "Hide the light of your love beneath a bushel, keep it secret, keep it safe. Sure, it may be blessed by the divine, but even if it's a pearl, there are plenty of swine." But even straight white blokes like me begin to feel ashamed if they accept their love as one which dare not speak its name, so I decided to witness, not beg for forgiveness. Which sounds brave now, but I would have quit a dozen times in the years that followed, but for everyone who confronted me with my disgrace, there was another who saw us as a sign of grace, thinking if that guy's still a minister, maybe I still fit. And all the while their secret stories of celebration hidden beneath layers of shame and alienation came quietly and circuitously into our conversation, all these sacred little stories, feeling so alone because nobody dared to tell them in church in case of that first stone. Why am I telling you this? Well, it's not the free catharsis. I'm hoping that a few of you, after we, get off our asses and travel home, will share our stories of celebration and make Australia a more open-minded nation. There's What I Wish I Said in Church. You can Google that, that's mine. Or if you're not inclined to tangle with the divine, there are plenty of other options online. Or tell someone face to face. Tell them your story not as disgrace, but as grace. Take a chance. Tell someone about that time you asked the wrong person at the wrong time in the wrong place to dance. Thank you.